It was late on a Tuesday night when my phone buzzed against the counter. A message from Victoria, my mother. "Don't call or come by again. We're finished. And don't bother asking about the will, sweetheart." For a moment, I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me. The room fell still, the hum of the refrigerator suddenly too loud, the warmth in my tea fading into cold. I read the message again, each word landing like a quiet blade. No argument, no warning, just a clean, deliberate goodbye. I typed 2 words back. Got it. Then I set the phone down, lifted my cup and took a slow sip. The bitterness wasn't just in the tea, it was in everything I'd swallowed for years. By midnight, my phone lit up with missed calls. Dozens of messages, each one like a small explosion in the dark. And that's when I realized everything I'd built around them was starting to collapse. People always said my family looked perfect. James, my father, crisp shirts and sharper opinions. Victoria, polished pearls and a smile so practiced it could have been framed. Ethan, laughing loud enough to make every room feel like a celebration. From the outside, we looked like the dream family of suburban Oklahoma. But dreams are smooth only until you see the cracks running underneath. James Hayes built his name from grease and grit. He started with a single diner and turned it into a string of restaurants that locals swore by. He used to tell me, "Respect isn't given, Grace. It's earned through obedience. Love never came into it." At dinner, he'd point his fork at me and say, "You'll learn the business someday. This family runs on hard work." But I never wanted the business. I wanted colour, light, space. I wanted to build things that felt alive, not fry cooks and receipts. When I told him I'd been accepted into an art and design school in Chicago, he laughed so hard I thought he might choke. "If you walk away from this family's work," he said, "you walk away from our support." And he meant it. So I packed my bags, took out student loans, and juggled 2 part-time jobs just to survive. Meanwhile, Ethan, the golden child, got a brand new car for showing up to the diner twice a week. Mum never defended me. She'd just pour herself another glass of wine and murmur, "He's only hard on you because he believes in your potential." But I saw through it. She believed in comfort, not confrontation. Years passed. I built my design firm from a tiny apartment with paint-stained walls and a desk that wobbled when I breathed. Word spread. Clients came. By the time I turned 30, I was redesigning boutique hotels and restaurants across the state, the kind of places people booked months in advance. But every time I came home for family dinner, it was the same old story. Ethan's big plans, Dad's next restaurant expansion, Mum's tired smile. When I talked about my projects, James barely looked up. "Cute," he'd say, already moving on to the next subject. When Victoria got sick 5 years ago, I didn't hesitate. I paid every medical bill. When Ethan's startup crumbled, I wired $30,000 to bail him out. When Dad's diner needed new equipment, I covered that too. They always said thank you. But it was the hollow kind, like a receipt after a purchase. And maybe deep down I kept doing it because I wanted to be seen. Not as the backup plan, not as the outsider, just family. But family, I learned, isn't what hurts you. It's what defines how deep the hurt can go. The breaking point came disguised as a family meeting. James called it a discussion about the future. I should have known that meant Ethan's future, not mine. We gathered around that long oak dining table, the walls lined with framed photos of Ethan holding trophies and ribbon-cutting scissors beside my father. I stood at the end of the table with my laptop open, heart steady, ready to present something that could actually move us forward. A sustainable design firm that would partner with hotels and restaurants. Eco-friendly materials, long-term savings, modern aesthetic. I barely spoke 5 minutes before Dad cut me off. "You think hotels care about recycled wood?" he said, his voice flat and sharp. "They want cheap, not fancy experiments." Ethan laughed without even looking up from his phone. "Maybe stick to decorating, Grace. You're good at pretty things." Victoria pretended to rearrange napkins, eyes avoiding mine. "It's not decoration," I said quietly. "It's design. It's the future." James leaned back, crossing his arms. "We're not wasting money on pipe dreams. Ethan's opening another location. That's where our focus is." Something inside me fractured. All the sacrifices, all the sleepless nights, the bills I'd paid, the love I'd still tried to earn, swept off the table like crumbs. "Mum," I said softly, "you've seen my work. You know it could succeed." She hesitated. Her eyes flickered toward Dad before she whispered, "It just sounds risky, Grace. You know how business is." Risky. That word again. The same one they'd used when I chose my own life. Then, out of nowhere, Madison, Ethan's wife, spoke up. "I think it's brilliant," she said. "Sustainability is what everyone's moving toward now." Ethan glared at her like she'd broken some sacred rule. She went quiet. James slammed his hand down. "Enough! Meeting's over." As I gathered my things, Madison's gaze met mine. She mouthed, "I need to tell you something." That night, she found me outside by the driveway. Her hands shook as she spoke. "Ethan's been taking money from the restaurants. Thousands, Grace. He's hiding it." I froze. "Are you sure?" She nodded, voice cracking. "I found the records. He's been lying to your parents for years." Before I could even breathe, I heard Dad's voice drift from the kitchen window. "We need to finalize the will. Ethan's the only one keeping this family together." Victoria murmured something too soft to hear. And right there, in the dark of that driveway, I finally understood. The betrayal wasn't coming. It had already happened. At dawn, another text from Victoria. "Don't call or come over. We're done. And don't even think about the will, sweetheart." Same words, same precision. As if she'd rehearsed them. I read them until they blurred. I'd paid her hospital bills. I'd saved Ethan from debt. I'd kept the family's empire running while they pretended I didn't exist. And now, I was erased. I typed back the same 2 words. Got it. No punctuation, no emotion, just finality. Then I walked to the kitchen, made a cup of tea, and stared out at the quiet city. For the first time, the silence didn't hurt. It felt like peace. I opened my laptop, logged into my accounts and started cutting ties. Hospital payments, cancelled. Restaurant suppliers, unpaid. Ethan's loans, terminated. Each click echoed like a door closing. By noon, the calls began. Mum first, then Dad, then Ethan. I didn't answer. Not out of anger, out of clarity. For the first time, I could see how much of myself I'd traded away. That night, the messages turned desperate. "You're tearing the family apart. How could you do this to your mother? You'll regret this, Grace." I didn't reply. I placed the phone face down and let it buzz itself into exhaustion. When midnight came, another flood. Dozens of calls, messages flashing like fireworks in the dark. But I just sat there, sipping my tea. And for the first time in years, I felt free. They didn't want me. They wanted my help. They wanted the version of me that said yes without question. That Grace was gone. By morning, the storm hadn't passed. It had mutated. 37 missed calls, 11 voicemails. I made breakfast while the phone buzzed beside the toaster. Then a voicemail came from James. The word urgent glowed on the screen. I pressed play. "You need to fix this, Grace. The restaurants can't survive without you. You owe us that much." That word, owe, burned. I'd given them everything, and somehow it had turned into a debt. Then Ethan's message. "You think you can just walk away? You're selfish. Mum's crying because of you." Then Victoria, soft and trembling. "Please, Grace, don't do this to us. Not after everything we've been through." I pressed my hands to the counter. The the cool marble grounding me. They weren't reaching out for love. They were reaching out for control. By noon, Madison called. "They know I told you," she whispered. "Ethan's furious. He's saying you made it up." I sighed. "Don't worry. I'm done explaining myself." A week later, I agreed to meet them, just once. Not to reconcile, but to end it. The cafe was small and quiet, the air heavy with rain and coffee. They were already there. James, arms crossed. Victoria, pale but poised. Ethan scrolling through his phone like none of it mattered. "Grace," Dad began, "you've caused chaos. Bills are overdue. Vendors are threatening lawsuits." I set my bag on the chair. My voice didn't shake. "That's not my problem anymore." Ethan leaned forward, sneering. "Oh, so now you're better than us because you play with fabrics and fancy lights?" I looked him dead in the eye. "The word is design, Ethan. And yes, it's better than theft." He blinked. James frowned. "What are you talking about?" I turned to him. "Madison told me everything. The hidden accounts, the missing funds." Ethan shot up from his seat. "You believe her over me?" "She found proof," I said calmly. "And you know it." James turned, voice low. "Ethan, is that true?" "This is ridiculous," Ethan snapped. "She's been jealous of me since we were kids." "Enough," I said quietly. "This isn't about jealousy. It's about respect, something I never got from this family." Victoria's voice trembled. "Grace, please don't do this. We can talk." "We're past talking, Mom," I said. "You made that clear when you sent the message." Her face drained of colour. "I didn't mean it like that. You said don't call or come over. We're done. And don't even think about the will, sweetheart." Silence. Even the cafe's hum seemed to stop. James cleared his throat. "You've always been too sensitive." I smiled faintly. "And you've always mistaken cruelty for discipline." I reached into my bag and pulled out a folder. "I sold my sustainable design company," I said. "A national firm bought it for $1 million. Their eyes widened. "I built it without you. No loans. No family money, just me." Ethan scoffed. "Congratulations. Want a medal?" "No," I said softly. "I just want you to understand I don't need you anymore." James leaned forward. "You think money makes you powerful?" "No," I said. "Walking away does." The silence that followed was heavier than any scream. Victoria's eyes shimmered with tears. "We're still your family," she whispered. "Family doesn't use you like an ATM," I said. "Family doesn't disown you when the money stops." Ethan slammed his hand against the table. "You think you can cut us off?" I stood. "Funny, that's exactly what you did to me." I turned toward the door. "I'm not your safety net anymore," I said. "Not your backup plan, not your excuse." James called out, "You'll regret this, Grace." I paused, one hand on the chair. "Maybe, but at least I'll regret it on my own terms." And then I walked away. Outside, the air was cool, the sun low, painting the street gold. My phone buzzed again, but I ignored it. Through the cafe window, I could still see them. 3 silhouettes arguing among themselves. I wasn't part of that noise anymore. I scrolled through my messages, pressed delete all. The screen went blank. The car engine hummed softly. For the first time, I wasn't driving away from them. I was driving toward myself. A year later, I heard about them, through other people. The Hayes restaurants were gone. The legacy James guarded like a crown had collapsed under debt and lawsuits. Vendors found Ethan's hidden accounts. His name ended up in the paper beside the word embezzlement. Madison left him, taking their daughter to Dallas. Victoria and James sold the house and moved to a small rental outside Tulsa. I didn't feel joy, just calm. Like the air after a storm has finally cleared. My design firm had expanded. I opened a branch in New York. My name gleamed on brass plaques inside hotels I had built from the ground up. Sometimes I'd walk through one of those lobbies, soft lights, quiet music, clean lines, and think, this is what home feels like when you build it yourself. One afternoon, in a Manhattan cafe, I ordered the same tea I'd had that night. The steam curled in the sunlight like a quiet memory. My phone buzzed, an unknown number from Tulsa. I let it ring until it stopped. The sound faded beneath the jazz playing overhead. I smiled, lifted my cup, and took a slow sip. The tea was still bitter, but I finally understood. It wasn't the drink, it was the lesson. Peace doesn't come from fixing them. It comes from letting them fall. People ask if I ever miss them. The truth? I miss the version of them I hoped existed, the one that might have loved me without condition. But that version was only ever alive in my imagination. Now, when I think of family, I think of respect, of mornings where silence means safety, not punishment. Family isn't blood, it's peace. And silence, when chosen, can be the loudest form of freedom. If you've ever had to choose between love and survival, tell me in the comments. Because sometimes, walking away isn't weakness, it's strength disguised as quiet.